They were the first thing we ever saw in Game of Thrones. Not kings, not dragons, not even the Starks, the White Walkers, the ultimate threat, the living embodiment of death. And after 8 seasons of buildup, mystery, terror, symbols, ancient magic, what did it all lead to? One cool stab. No explanation, no purpose. Just gone. This is how Game of Thrones took its most terrifying mythology and made it completely meaningless. Don't get me wrong, the setup was brilliant. The show nailed the White Walkers early on. They were more than just undead zombies. They were a force of nature, cold, quiet, ancient. They didn't speak, they didn't monologue, they just marched, and everything died in their path. From the first scene, the message was clear. This is the real threat, not the Lannisters, not the Targaryens, death itself. Season after season, we saw them grow in power. They turned Craster's babies into more of their own. They brought the dead to life at Hardhome, a moment that still gives people chills. They killed a dragon and used it to tear down the wall. Visually, symbolically, tonally, they were it. George R.R. Martin even described them in the books as a different kind of horror, saying, "They are the others, cold and beautiful and deadly, not your standard zombie horde." But then the show forgot that. The great thing was, they weren't just undead zombies. They had layers. We saw spiral patterns, ancient symbols burned into walls, the children of the forest creating them as weapons. We were told about the Long Night, a mythical age where darkness nearly swallowed the world. We had mentions of Azor Ahai, the prince that was promised, a hero born in salt and smoke, destined to defeat the darkness. It screamed prophecy, destiny, epic final battle. It had to mean something, but none of that got explained. The spiral symbols, never addressed. The connection to Bran, never used. The Night King's goal, not even guessed at. He doesn't speak. He doesn't confront Jon. He doesn't even enter the fight until the final 5 minutes. He walks up to Bran like a Windows loading screen, and then Arya stabs him, and boom, it's over. Let's be clear, the Night King had no character arc. No backstory, no internal conflict, no dialogue. And maybe that would have been fine if he was treated like a myth, like death itself. But the show set him up like a final boss. He had symbols, rituals, a clear strategy. He was more than just a boogeyman. He was a commander, a leader, a mythological force. And yet, they never gave us any of his why. Even Jon Snow's connection to him is completely ignored. The resurrected fighting the resurrector, that's storytelling gold, and they skipped it. They didn't even fight. You don't build 8 seasons of tension just to skip the damn conversation. Yes, Arya's leap was cool. The moment was thrilling, unexpected, badass. But narratively, it made no sense. Arya had no personal connection to the Night King. She wasn't tied to the prophecy. She didn't have visions or dreams or destiny pulling her toward him. She didn't even know he existed until season 7. Jon, on the other hand, was brought back from the dead, literally revived by magic, with no clear reason except to presumably fight the darkness. Melisandre said she thought he was the prince that was promised. Turns out he was just there to yell at dragons and look confused. And after Arya kills the Night King, nobody talks about it. Nobody asks, what the hell was that? It's just over. Off to fight Cersei like none of it mattered. This wasn't just one slip-off, this made the whole series shit. All those wars, crowns, and politics meant nothing if death won. It made the story bigger than just thrones and castles. It made it about humanity. But the showrunners decided the real villain was Cersei. They turned the Long Night into a 1-episode pit stop, then swept it under the rug so they could go back to playing politics. So everything, from the Wall to Jon's resurrection, to Bran's powers, to ancient magic, meant nothing. In the end, the ice part got stabbed, shattered, and erased in under an hour. We were promised myth, prophecy, apocalypse. What we got was a silent dude in a trench coat who exploded when stabbed in the gut. The White Walkers could have been legendary. Instead, they were a cold open with no closer.